There are people in my life who will never get another handmade gift. Not because we're fighting and not because I don't love them, but because something that happened years ago that changed the way I look at crochet and the way I look at giving handmade gifts. All right, I know that sounds a little bit dramatic, but by the end of this story, I think you'll understand exactly why. Well, a few years ago, one of my closest friends became a grandmother, and of course, I was super excited for her. My granny always believed every new baby deserves something handmade. She made blankets for every baby in her family, and somewhere along the way, it became a tradition that I wanted to carry on too. So there was never a question whether I'd make a blanket. I wanted to make something that she would keep for years, maybe even pass down someday. I spent 2 weeks making it. I bought expensive organic yarn because I wanted it super soft and safe for a baby, and I obsessed over the pattern. I crocheted every chance I got. I remember sitting there thinking, like, this might be the nicest thing that I've ever made. And when I was finished, it wasn't just a baby blanket anymore. It represented 2 weeks of my life. Well, at the baby shower, she gave me the biggest hug and told me how much she loved it. And, not to toot my own horn, but I was pretty geeked because, every late night, every sore hand, and every dollar I spent on yarn was worth it. Till about 6 months later, when I stopped over at her house, I walked into her living room, froze. The same blanket that she gushed over at the baby shower was in her dog bed. I couldn't even process what I was looking at. It was covered in dog hair with chew holes on it. And you can tell it's been the dog's blanket for a while. The blanket I spent 2 weeks making, the one I imagined wrapping around a brand new baby, the one I hoped would become a family keepsake one day, became the dog's blanket. I bit my tongue. I didn't say a thing. She acted like everything was like completely normal. She had no idea. I ignored it, but the ride home, I couldn't stop thinking about it. It wasn't really about the blanket. It was the blanket. It was what the blanket represented. 2 weeks of my time, my creativity, my love, something I had made specifically for a family, was treated disposable. If you ever spend hours making something for someone only to realize they never truly appreciated it, then you know exactly that pit in your stomach when what it feels like. And if this sounds like painfully familiar, you're in the right place. I'm Alicia of Little John Yarns. I dive deep into all things crochet, and since the algorithm brought you here, apparently you like this content. So make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. So as painful as those moments was, it also made me realize something, that the blanket wasn't the beginning of the story. It was just the first time that I noticed it. Looking back, I've been seeing this pattern my entire life. My grandmother was almost always making something. Blankets, pillows, pot holders. If someone in the family had a birthday or had a new baby or just needed something, she'd sit down with her yarn, make it. That's just who she was. She wasn't just making things. Every project carried hours no one could ever get back. She was giving away pieces of herself. And looking back, I don't think most people ever realized what they were actually receiving. They saw a blanket or a pillow or a hat. She saw an evening. Patience, skill, love. Those aren't the same thing. Years later, I ran into the same exact pattern, only this time, it wasn't about giving a gift. It was about selling one. When I showed my own mother my online shop when I first started, about 10 or so years ago, her first reaction, it wasn't pride, it was concern. She looked at one of my hats and said, "Nobody's going to buy that." And at the time, I was only charging $25 for a hat that took me 4 hours to make. And here's the thing. My mom wasn't trying to discourage me. She was trying to protect me. She honestly believed no one would spend that much money on a crochet hat because, like most people, she wasn't thinking about the hours. She was thinking about the hat. And that's when everything clicked. My friend never saw 2 weeks of my life. She saw a blanket, just like everyone else had, and a light bulb went off. That's when I changed how I looked at handmade gifts. The people who make them and the people who receive them are often seeing two completely different things. Nobody's wrong. They're just looking at the same gift through completely different eyes. One person sees an object and the other person sees evenings, mistakes, money, the years it took to learn the skills, and the love that went into every stitch and row. And once I understood that, I started digging into why. What I found explained why that baby blanket hurt so much, but also why so many crocheters eventually stopped giving gifts altogether. I kept thinking about the blanket, not because it was expensive, not because it took me 2 weeks to make, but because I couldn't figure out why it bothered me so much. I mean, it's just a blanket, right? Except it never felt like it was just a blanket. That's when I started looking into why handmade gifts affects us differently than store-bought ones. And I was happy to find out there was a reason for it, and I wasn't overreacting. Psychologists have been studying it for years. When you spend dozens of hours making something, something starts to change. It stops feeling like something you made and starts feeling like a little piece of you, and it stops being a blanket. It becomes the blanket I made, the one I stayed up late working on, the one I unraveled because I wasn't happy with it, the one I imagined being wrapped around a brand new baby. That's why handmade gifts feel different. You're not just giving someone yarn. You're giving them your time, your attention, your creativity, and a little piece of you, which means when someone treats it like it doesn't matter, it doesn't feel like they're rejecting an object. It feels personal. There's actually a name for what's happening here. It's called effort justification. It's pretty simple. The more of ourselves we pour into making something, the more meaningful it becomes to us. That's why when I looked at that blanket, I didn't just see yarn. I saw 2 weeks of my life. That's why I felt like I lost something bigger than a blanket. I lost 2 weeks of my life that I could never get back again. So here's the question. If making handmade gifts hurts so much, why do so many of us keep doing it? Why do we keep saying yes, even after we've been disappointed over and over again? And there's no one answer for this, but for me, it came down to a few different things. All right, another story. My son, he's always loved Minions from Despicable Me when he was little, and I decided to crochet him one. And I never make amigurumi because my hands hate it. My tension is way too tight, but for my baby boy, of course. I even tucked small pieces of his great grandmother's unfinished crochet projects inside his stuffing. Listen, I'm a lover of crochet. I couldn't even throw out my grandmother-in-law's 50-year-old whips because since she had passed away, I felt like those little scraps were a great way to keep her close to his heart. Then came Christmas, and like a lot of families, we cleaned out his old toys to make room for new ones. And there it was, sitting on top of the donation box. I know he was young at the time, but it still hurt. But don't worry, now he's 15 and he appreciates his mom's work. My kid can spot crochet 100 feet away. He always points out crochet in the wild to mirror on TV, so I think I've trained him pretty well since then. But looking back, I don't think I was upset about the toy. It was everything attached to it, the hours, the memories, even the scrap pieces from his great grandmother. Making something has always been how I showed that I care. Some people say, I love you. Some people give hugs. I crochet. Psychologists calls this a love language. For people like me, making something by hand isn't just giving a gift. It's one of the ways we express love, but love wasn't the only thing keeping me stuck. There is something else, but I got a feeling you guys are going to know what I'm talking about. Not every request starts with someone trying to take advantage of you. Sometimes it starts with a really nice conversation. And here's another story. I was sitting at work one day during some downtime crocheting. A coworker walks over and asks, "What are you knitting?" Crocheters, you already know where this is going. So we started talking. They told me about a family member they loved who used to knit and how they always wished they had learned how to knit. And like clockwork, out came their phone. Pinterest image queued up. Like they've been waiting for the right moment for a crocheter to walk into their life. And here comes the request. "Can you make this?" And just like that, I'm no longer someone enjoying my lunch break. I'm trying to figure out how to say no without trying to sound rude. And this has happened so many times, and every single time I feel guilty. Not because I wanted to make it, because I didn't. I feel guilty because saying no would probably disappoint them. So I started negotiating with myself. Maybe it won't take that long. Maybe I can squeeze it in, or maybe this one time. Does this conversation sound familiar? There's a name for this too. Psychologist calls this people pleasing. It's a habit of putting somebody else's happiness ahead of yours, even at the cost of yourself. And if you're someone who loves making things for other people, those requests can be really hard to turn down. The problem is, every time I said yes when I really wanted to say no, crochet changed a little bit. Crochet is my escape. It's the thing I look forward to after work. I could put on a movie, pick up a hook, and just forget about the world. But once those projects started feeling like an obligation, things changed. I wasn't reaching for my crochet bag because I wanted to. I was reaching for it because I had to. The hobby that relaxed me started feeling like another job. And I still wrestle with that to this day, especially now because crochet has become my career, but that's a story for another day. But if you sell crochet and you want to check out this video about the Walmartification of crochet and how people don't want to pay for crochet anymore, I'll leave that video right here. Okay, so what do we do with all of this? Because understanding why we do it doesn't automatically make it easier to say no. For me, the hardest part wasn't learning effort justification or people pleasing or love languages. The hardest part was accepting that saying no didn't make me a bad person. I thought it did, but I thought saying no meant I wasn't being generous enough, that I wasn't being kind enough, that I was letting people down. Then something happened that changed my view. One more story. So there's this one person, I won't say names, who never seemed excited about anything that I made her. But somehow they were always excited about asking for the next thing. And after the third project probably disappeared into their closet, I stopped making them sugar honey iced tea and then waited. I expected awkwardness or hurt feelings, maybe even like an argument. Nothing happened. The relationship didn't change, not even a little bit. The only thing that changed was suddenly I had dozens of hours back to my life. I spent all that time worrying about disappointing someone who wasn't thinking about it nearly as much as I was. That experience taught me something. Not every request deserves a yes. Before I agree to make anything now, I ask myself a few questions. Has this person ever appreciated something I made before? Do they understand what goes into making it? Or they just looking for free labor with really nice yarn? Because there's a difference. I've learned to save handmade gifts for people who genuinely treasure them. All right, you know the ones. The friends who still have birthday cards you gave them 10 years ago. The family member who wraps themselves in a blanket that you made every single winter. And the person who notices every little detail because they know how much work went into it. Those are the people. Everybody else gets candles. Now, that doesn't mean I've become perfect at saying no. I still catch myself wanting to say yes because old habits don't disappear overnight. But I realized something. Every time I say yes to something I really don't want to make, I'm saying no to something that I do. Maybe that's a pattern I wanted to design, or maybe it's a project I've been excited to do for months. Maybe it's simply an evening to myself. Time is limited. Every project costs something. So these days, I'm a lot more careful about who I spend those hours on. And really, crochet has become fun again. Not because people change, because I did. And you know what's funny? After making all those gifts and after spending so much time wondering why so many people appreciate them and why others didn't, I realized I've been asking the wrong question. The real question isn't, why don't people value handmade gifts? Some people never will. The better question is, why do we value them so much? And I think it's because handmade things can never really be mass produced. Sure, you can copy the pattern, you can copy the colors, but you can't copy the hours, you can't copy the memories, and you can't copy the reason someone decided to make it for you. Which got me thinking about something else. If machines can knit and they can sew, why can't they crochet? Or can they? I spent weeks researching this question and it made me so happy about my craft. So make sure you check that out right here.